So to give a conclusion or continuation, maybe conclusion, at least an extension on this social narrative of being
Like my style? Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos.
I think that it's important to always keep a distance from the crowd, because once you get too close to the norm, to the mass, you begin to adapt to the common folk, the groupthink, the hive mentality, and it's difficult to maintain a sense of individuality because principalities often exude a rather strong influence. So you have to be able to be resilient and also interested enough in your own offering to the world that you don't want to submit too much. So there is some balance, because obviously being too much into yourself in some regard can also be dangerous, as you might begin to, drift off to the fringe of society. And things can get difficult there because, you're not as attuned to, the way that people live outside of your bubble, which makes it challenging to kind of navigate and to fit in when you need to. And so I kind of always go back to the idea of code switching, because it's such an interesting idea that you could kind of be a part of many different groups, and that you don't have to necessarily be a part of the common, the common thread. You can be rather like a branch off of it, or something adjacent that can still tap into it, still understand it, but not necessarily be plugged into it. And code switching is something I learned about, I think, in high school, and it's basically a tool that lets you switch between different methods of communication, and you kind of seamlessly blend into many different areas and forms. You're able to kind of shape-shift somewhat like a chameleon, and you aren't governed by necessarily one sense of identity, because you're capable of existing in many different shoes, which is rather convenient, you might imagine. And I've utilized it, and I think it's a powerful method. Now, of course, on that spectrum too, you have to be careful, because you can also lose yourself by gaining and acquiring too many personalities or too many, senses of individuality. So there's kind of, a bisect going on in two different directions, where there's, kind of the urge to be as unique and individual as possible, but also the desire to, perpendicularly or orthogonally acquire as many different experiences and personalities as possible in this lifetime. And they can conflict, but also can work harmoniously. And I think it's important, as I mentioned earlier, to find a balance and find, a way that you can exist comfortably in yourself, but also within the spectrum or, domain of the public space, which you might inevitably find yourself in if you choose to, be close to people. And I recommend you do, to an extent, because life has so much to offer when you're willing to open yourself up and not be so secluded. You can exclude, of course, the negative influences and toxic traits that you don't respect and don't admire, but don't shy away from being communal and being integrated with some sense of, larger identity or larger purpose. It doesn't mean you have to assimilate into uniform, way of thinking, but at least be open to the idea that maybe there is more out there. And from there, who knows what it could possibly happen. It's all about thinking and letting your mind and heart and soul carry you to wherever it may. I know I'm trying to myself. So anyway, that's all I got to say for this video. If you resonate, then definitely subscribe and stay tuned for more. And I'll see you on the next one. So, peace.